Some women don't chase, and yet they're never forgotten. They pass through a man's life like a rare season, warm enough to awaken him, cold enough to haunt him when they're gone. He may not understand why her absence feels heavier than her presence, but his ego knows. Because her silence, her unshakable self-possession, her refusal to be conquered, these are the storms it was never built to survive. In the quiet architecture of his psyche, the ego stands like a king convinced of his crown. It feeds on conquest, validation, and the illusion of control. Yet Jung warned that the ego is not the self. It is only the mask worn to navigate the outer world. And when that mask meets a woman who does not bow, does not break, and does not revolve her worth around his approval, the mask begins to crack. She is not loud in her resistance. She does not argue for space. She simply owns it. Her energy is not given like a coin to be bargained for. It is earned or it is gone. And this is where the first wound strikes. The ego thrives on the belief that it is irreplaceable. But when she steps back, without malice or revenge, simply because her soul demands more than half-hearted presence, he is left with the mirror he has avoided all his life. A mirror that reflects not her loss but his own absence. A man's shadow, that deep cellar of traits he cannot face, often includes his dependency on the feminine to soothe his inadequacy. When she no longer plays nurse to the wounds he refuses to heal, the shadow stirs. It whispers of abandonment, betrayal, unworthiness. He may call her cold, accuse her of cruelty, but in truth, it is his own reflection that terrifies him. The second wound comes quietly, almost invisibly. Her detachment. Not the performative kind, crafted to provoke, but the natural, unforced drifting of a soul that no longer needs. The performance of his affection to feel alive. Detachment is a language his ego does not speak. It was raised in the grammar of pursuit and reaction, of pushing to see if she will pull. But she does not pull. She does not dance in his cycles of testing and retreating. Instead, she becomes still, a stillness so vast it makes him restless. In Jungian terms, she has begun the process of individuation, the claiming of her own, wholeness without the need for an outer anchor. And the more whole she becomes, the more incomplete his own life feels by comparison. The anima, his inner feminine, feels the withdrawal like a limb gone missing. He does not yet realize it is his own neglected inner life calling to him. He only knows that her presence once softened the edges of his existence, and now those edges cut. The third wound is the one his ego resists above all. The realization that her life is richer without his control. It is not that she no longer cares. It is that she no longer places him at the altar of her identity. She laughs, not for his attention, but because joy still finds her in the smallest corners of life. She moves through the world as if the gates have opened, as if the loss he thought would diminish her has instead set her free. This is the moment the ego feels betrayal from reality itself, because it believed it was the sun, and she was merely a planet in its orbit. But she was always her own constellation, and constellations do not collapse when a single star burns out. He may try to return, not from love, but from the hunger to restore the image he holds of himself. He may speak in promises or in accusations meant to lure her back into the role of caretaker, mirror, or prize. But she has walked the bridge between attachment and freedom, and the other side tastes of something the ego cannot offer: peace. This peace did not come from punishing him. It came from seeing him clearly, not as the invincible figure his charm once painted, but as a man still captive to his own unexamined depths. And in that clarity, she found the most dangerous power a woman can hold: the ability to leave without needing to be chased. In the end, his ego will not remember the details of the last conversation, or the exact moment she stopped reaching. What it will remember is the way she looked at him that final time, with neither anger nor longing, but with a gaze that had already placed him in the past. The woman who walks away in silence isn't weak. She simply sees more. She sees the boy hidden behind the man, the shadow curled around his heart, the crown of ego that was always too heavy for him to carry, and she knows it is not her burden to bear. So she leaves him in the quiet company of his own reflection, the only mirror that can ever teach him what she already learned: that no amount of conquest can replace the work a man must do within himself. And in that absence, she becomes not a chapter in his story, but the haunting reminder that some women cannot be possessed, only remembered.